Hey guys, it's Ross Scotland on the Space Couch today. We're joined by my Virgin Blue 737 again, but for a happier reason than the previous video. It is in times like these, difficult times, that the memories of good times that we had in the past help us through these difficult times. So I'm going to show you this. This is my very first trip to Australia in 2004. I made this for my mum. Not this is just an actual book, but it's a photo album filled with mementos and photos from my trip to Australia when I flew on this airline. So let's just see. So I just started it off like so. Nice one of the dolphins, so that's just a postcard. And a couple of the stamps as well that I picked up when I was out there for postcards that I sent. So what does that say? Yeah, that's just a little thing about treasured memories. So maybe just move this guy a little bit further back so we can get closer up. My boarding pass, one of my boarding passes from that flight. So what was the details? It was SQ219 on the 20th of February from Singapore to Sydney, from Terminal 2 to Terminal 1, and it was at seat 59C. It doesn't say the gate, I guess, that I can recall. So, and obviously I've just taken a little picture of a 747, just some text that I wrote for my mum to explain what's happening and everything. So I'll just read it out to you. There you see my boarding pass. There you see a map of Australia, where I was going, and another little stamp there. So I flew on Singapore Airlines and had the best flight ever, and it was. I landed in Singapore at 7:30 a.m, just enough time to stretch my legs, and then that's the picture of the other plane, which is not what I flew on. I was on the 747 on all 4 flights. And then I had to get on another plane. And so a day after I left, I arrived in Australia. So that must have been the 19th of February that I left the UK. If on the 20th of February I was flying out of Singapore at 7 in the morning. Yeah. And then this is just me. I was very young and handsome, wasn't I? As it says there, on my first weekend, me and Robin, she's my friend who she'd lived with me here for a bit in the UK. I visited her and I stayed with her. We drove out into the bush near the coast. It's just $5 Aussie and a stamp. So yeah, on that drive into the bush, we hiked along the coastal cliffs for several miles, and you see their beautiful coastline. It's an incredible country. And just the Opera House. I do have pictures of the Opera House in here as well. So yeah, we walked along the edge of the cliffs to get to the beach that you see in the background in this picture. But I do recall the waves were very choppy and like you couldn't go in the water there. So yeah, another nice pic of me there. What does the text say? Yeah, basically that. We were going to go swimming in the Pacific, but it was too rough. Oh yes, I also went to the aquarium in Darling Harbour, which I'd forgotten about. You can see just through this. It was an amazing aquarium, by the way, the best one I've ever been to. You see the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and it's chucking down with rain, which was wet and gloomy, but it's one of those things. It was chucking down with rain, and it was still so hot and humid, you couldn't even wear a jacket. It was just too much. You had to just either have a brolly or get soaked. Yeah. And, okay. There is the Harbour Bridge. And I'll just put this, because this is essentially a panoramic shot. This is exactly how it appears, the two of them next to each other. But I'll just fold this up so you can just get a slightly better look at it. Yeah. So it's basically, that is the view you would see in the harbour. From the spot here of both the bridge and the Opera House. That is how close they are to each other. It was raining so hard that day. And just another postcard of the Opera House. There's a view of the bridge from the ferry terminal. It's at Circular Quay. I forget what it's called now. Yeah, Circular Quay. My ferry ticket. Yeah. Manly, where I went to the aquarium there. That's Manly Beach. It's very nice. There's a little stamp. And here is my photo of the Virgin. This is not the plane I was on. This is the plane I was on, because we were kind of at the gate and this one came in. I thought we were getting on this one, but this one taxied to the side. This one had winglets, ours didn't. So let me just see what the text says. And it was still raining when I flew to Melbourne. My plane was the one at the top left of the picture. Virgin Blue were excellent. Stan, Anne and Ruth, that's my cousin, his wife and their daughter, met me at the airport. It was baking hot when I landed. Nicer than the rain. I'd forgotten that, actually. And we went along the Great Ocean Road when I was down there in Melbourne as well. It's beautiful. Is this London Bridge? No, this one's London Bridge. Where the sea arch collapsed and stranded people on here. That was like in 1990. It's probably more erosion since then. Yeah, they had to be rescued by helicopter. Yeah, this was a beach. This is down by, was it the 12 Apostles? I can never remember. The 12 Sisters, whatever they're called. Which is obviously in this one under the wrapping. So yeah, that beach was only accessible from the sea. Yeah, the 12 Apostles, amazing. It really is stunning. It was so hot that day. As in the ocean, it stretches all the way to Antarctica. But one of these collapsed a few years ago from what I recall. I don't know which one, so there's less of them now. Eventually, of course, they will all collapse, but new ones will be carved off of the cliff due to erosion. Yeah. There is more of the 12 Apostles. And this is just a nice little look through a little arch with a reflecting pool. Small the coastline. Yeah, so we drove further along the Great Ocean Road and we came to this town where we stopped at some, they call them hotels, don't they? The big pubs and stuff. And I had kangaroo and it was delicious with bush tomatoes. It's lovely. But yeah, beautiful coastline. I was in Melbourne for a bit as well, as I live in Ballarat near Melbourne. It was a lot like Singapore, the style of the buildings. It's just a postcard of Singapore, of Melbourne, the Yarra River, the cricket ground, was it the MCG? There's one of me on the bridge. And it also did remind me a little bit of Minneapolis, the bridge across the Mississippi, when I was doing my student year there. The style of the building was quite similar. And then we drove into the Grampian Mountains while I was over there, and it was amazing. This rock formation, it kind of looked like this, like a dragon's head. There's the eye, here's the mouth, of course. You used to be able to get out onto this bit, but I think it's a bit too dangerous now, so that's been stopped a long time ago. Alright, I've got another panoramic one here. It's funny, this is a spot where there were some people were taking naked pictures. At least that's how it was diplomatically put, but I think basically they were just having sex. So yeah, this is what it's like. Like so. And there's a town, is it down here, I think? But yeah, it's beautiful countryside. You see the farmland there. What was the town called? Yeah, Hall's Gap. Yeah. And that's where we were looking for kangaroos. There were no kangaroos. Well, there's one kangaroo that we saw. But as the kangaroo sanctuaries, there were just none. So we had to go somewhere else to find them. Yeah, this is where they were taking, not right here, but it mentions about the people taking naked pictures. And you can see a kangaroo through there. Yeah, Hall's Gap, Victoria. They are the daftest creatures you'll ever see when they come up to you. They're absolutely ridiculous. There you just see another one of generic Australian wildlife. So yeah, I made this so my mum could see what I was doing when I'd been on my holiday. I always loved this picture of me that Stan took. I was on that rock and it's not very high. And I had the devil's own time getting off of it. It's just, I froze. I would have jumped a distance about this wide, not long at all, but also going down about this far, and that was just impossible. I was rooted to the spot for a few minutes until I was able to talk myself into moving. Yep. Not many kangaroos around. You can see one there. And here I am with kangaroos in the background. You can just about make out. Those Timberlands, by the way, they went to Dubai with me. At least I think they did. I'm sure they did. Yes, when I went down the beach. They've been all over the world, from Florida to Australia to the Middle East. And there's just a postcard of Ballarat, a nice old Victorian mining town that they live in. That's my cousins I'm talking about. And there is just another one of the Grampians National Park, which was lovely. This is their house, the back of the house. They don't live here anymore, unfortunately. But I remember my first night, we were out here in the back on the veranda, just having a drink and stuff. I saw this pair of eyes walking along the edge of the balcony. And it was like, not a sloth, but one of those bush creatures they have out there. I don't know what, not a wallaby. But yeah, it was bizarre. Just seeing this random animal turn up. Yeah, that's their back garden. They also had what they call a dam, but which we would call a pond, or more likely a small lake, but it's not visible in this shot. And that was them seeing me off back to Sydney, and that was 16 years ago. And there I am, or there is Bondi. Saw a blue box jellyfish on the beach there. And there I am at Bondi. And there I am topless at Bondi. And just a postcard, Manly Cove. It's me. Robin would have taken this. It's the city in the background, as you can see. This is one of the suburbs. Ugh, great trip. Australia is incredible. And I only scratched the surface, and there's another one of me with the city and the bridge in the background. Just another one of the Opera House. Oh, I forgot about this. We went to feed the cockatoos at the Royal National Park at Bundeena, but of course there were none to be seen anywhere. And I recognise this lake now. There's like, further down, there's like some little steps that go into it and everything. But yeah, very nice. A lot of insects buzzing around from what I recall. Just another one. Sydney there. Then the Three Sisters in the Blue Mountains. Blue Mountains are beautiful. There's just another one. There's another postcard. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful countryside. We stayed overnight at the Jenolan Cave House. There's pictures of that later on. But we had, and there's more pictures as well, but we had afternoon tea at the Hydro-Majestic, which is a very old 20s hotel. The Legend of the Three Sisters. Long ago, a clever old man called Taiwan lived in the mountains. He had 3 daughters, Minhi, Wimla and Gunadu, and a magic shinbone that changed him into a lyrebird when he wished. When he went hunting, he would tell his daughters to stay on the cliff top, safe from Bunyip, who lived deep in the valley. One day, Minhi knocked a rock over the cliff. It crashed into the valley, waking Bunyip, who charged up the cliff towards the terrified girls. Taiwan could not reach them in time, and so he changed them into rocks. The Bunyip chased Taiwan, who changed his shape many times before changing to a lyrebird. But he dropped his magic shinbone when his arms changed into wings. Ever since, lyrebird has scratched in the leaves, looking for the shinbone to change the girls back into human form. And this was my first view of the Three Sisters that was in Katoomba. Yeah, that's right. We hiked all the way through the rainforest. I mean, there's like a path that you follow right to the base, and there you see them there. I remember there was a little stream running through the forest that was clear water that you could literally put your hands in and drink it from it, and I did. There is me and Robin there in front of Three Sisters. This t-shirt, obviously, you'll be very familiar with. I've worn that on here a bunch of times, and that's also been all over the world with me, although it didn't make it to Dubai this time. Picked up the Blue Mountains of the cable car, which I'm on here. A view of the cable car from the cable car. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful countryside. There's another one of me from the other angle. Much closer to the three sisters. So how far away they were in the previous one. We walked all that distance. We earned our afternoon cream tea at the Hydro-Majestic. Now this is me at the Great Arch of the Jenolan Caves in the Blue Mountains, and that's against a couple of hours' drive from Sydney, maybe an hour or so from the Three Sisters. Yeah, there is the Hydro-Majestic. If you're ever there, do check it out. Well, there's grand 1920s resorts. Yeah. The Devonshire cream tea, that's what we had. Yeah, it overlooks the Megalong Valley in the Blue Mountains. And that is me with a view of the Megalong Valley. I don't know what's going on with my arms in that picture. There must have just been a whip behind like so or something. I'll get this so you can actually make out what you're seeing. In the very centre, this is the Jenolan Cave House. So I'm up in the hills a bit here. It's very much Swiss chalet palace style. And it was all like Art Nouveau inside. Turn of the century arts and crafts. It was beautiful. It was also very quiet. It was not that many people staying there. Maybe it was the time of the year, I don't know. But yes, there it is. The Jenolan Cave House. And when we were going down to Great Ocean Road, when I was in Melbourne, and we went to this cheese factory in a place called Timboon. We tried cheese. You know, it's like cheese tastings, and we had cheese and salad for lunch with a delicious crisp white wine. And it was beautiful gardens as well. Unfortunately, it's long since closed, which is a real shame because I would have loved to have gone back there. But that was a real highlight because we went to various vineyards and stuff, and that was just where we stopped for lunch. Okay, this is another view from the Great Arch at the Jenolan Caves. So I'll leave on there just so you can actually take a moment to see what you're looking at. Here is the arch here. And then at Taronga Zoo, there's a gorilla with its baby on its back. You can see here. That was the hottest day I can ever remember. It was 110 degrees. And there's a view of the Sydney skyline from the Royal Botanical Gardens, which was very nice. I'd walked down there quite a few times because I was going to Sydney every day to explore the museums, the aquariums, what have you. The I don't know if it's the military museum or like the Naval and Air Museum that is at Darling Harbour, but that was amazing. It's got a warship and a submarine tied up there, and planes hanging from the ceiling inside. So there is just 10 Aussie dollars. Yes, I did indeed climb the Sydney Harbour Bridge. One of the best things I've ever done. Expensive, worth it. And there is the Harbour Bridge. This probably was the day that I climbed it. Now this, I believe it's a Holiday Inn or something, but it's like the most expensive Holiday Inn anywhere because that area is very, very pricey. You can imagine centre of tourist Sydney next to the bridge and the Opera House. Speaking of the Opera House, there's my ticket for the Opera House tour. And what's this on here? That is my photo of the Opera House. It's very 70s inside styling, but it would cost an absolute fortune to redo it, I suppose. But yeah, that was a fascinating tour of the Opera House. And then it was time to come back. So there is my boarding pass. There's the stop, there's a little plane. So let's see, what seat was I on? Right, so from Sydney to Singapore on the 11th of March in SQ222, boarding time 1600, from gate 59, I was in seat 66E. And then from Singapore to London, I was in seat 41A. Yeah. Let me just see, was it on the very first one? Oh, my seat was 59C. But I was almost right at the very back of the plane. There was only like a couple of rows behind me, I thought. But yeah, even so, stuck in the last row of the plane, in the centre of the centre section on Singapore Airlines, it is not a problem. But anyway, guys, that was just my memories of my trip to Australia, my first trip to Australia. I did one of these for my second trip to Australia as well the following year. It was a little bit this, but more so I don't know if I'll show that one to you, because I think this probably was the best version of it. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I do hope to go back to Australia one day, who knows when. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a comment or suggestion for an upcoming topic you'd like to see discussed, or like the video.